with the Ravens losing at home to the Raiders this past weekend, is it time to panic in Baltimore now that they've started 0-2 to start the year?
The only reason I would say that their panic meter is higher is because of the schedule that Baltimore has to go through over the next few weeks. And I'll give you guys a little bit of an insight because it's not going to get easy or easier until the brief break in October. Their next three games are at Dallas, at home against Buffalo, and then at Cincinnati. That is a tough 3 week stretch, guys. And then that game that I told you about that is going to be that little break in between is against the Commanders. And I'm not going to sit here and say the Commanders are a great team, but it's a rookie quarterback in a new offense with a new defensive coordinator or a defensive minded head coach in Dan Quinn. You never know what's going to happen in a game like that. But anyway, that should be their break. When it comes to this game as a whole, it was kind of a snooze fest early on, if I remember correctly, because I was watching
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of it at work, and it ended up at halftime being 9-6. A lot of field goals, a lot of opportunities that were missed, a lot of 3-and-outs. But as my former quarterback, Gardner Minshew didn't look half bad. He only had 8 incompletions. He's not someone that's going to go out there and kill you for 1,000 yards in the air, but 276 is not that bad. A touchdown and an interception. But Devontae Adams finally got into a groove. Devontae Adams had over 100 yards receiving. But again, for whatever reason, a lot of these NFL teams refuse to run the football, and they refuse to do it whenever they do decide. The Raiders only had 27 yards rushing. That is abysmal. They look like Colorado. Shout out to Dion for getting a win against Colorado State this week. But, dude, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how Baltimore did this. I actually saw a stat on the TV right before Carlson kicked that field goal. The Ravens, since I think Lamar has been on this roster or has been the starting quarterback, now that they actually officially lost the game, this would be their 11th game that they were up by 7+ points that they ended up losing in the fourth quarter. That's all coaching. That is 100% all John Harbaugh. That is execution. That is play calling. That is defensive assignments. Everything you can think of when you talk about the umbrella of a coaching tree, they fail on all aspects. And then you talk about Justin Tucker completely falling off a cliff. I think he's 1-7 in his last 50-yard field goal attempts. We were talking about him or regarding to him as the greatest kicker of all time, and to his respect, he still is because of all the records that he holds. But right now, I wouldn't trust him to hit the front side of a barn if I had to kick 50+ yards because of how inconsistent he's been. The offensive line has been horrible. So as a whole, Baltimore choked this away. Yes. But the Raiders came to play. Antonio Pierce rallied these boys. Gardner Minshew kept these boys in it. Max Crosby had a moment after Minshew threw that interception, pulled him off to the side and was like, dude, we got you. We following you. You're our guy. And that superseded to continue into a win. So shout out to Vegas for not giving up and rolling over and saying they're a better team. It is what it is. But Baltimore's got to get it together, man, because these next 3 weeks, truth be told, they could end up realistically going 0-5. I could physically see it happening because of how good the teams are on the slate. Cincinnati's 0-2. They're not gonna sleep, and that's a divisional game. Dallas is gonna be ticked off next week that they freaking lost by 25 points. And then you talk about Buffalo, who's on a roll right now, and Josh Allen is playing probably one of the best season of his career, as well as James Cook. Dude, the Ravens are in trouble. I'm not gonna sit here and say it's like a 9 or anything because it's still week 2, but I would say they have the highest panic meter because of the strength of schedule.